The moment you stop seeking a narcissist's approval, something changes. They sense their control slipping, and that can make them act out in ways that feel confusing or even punishing. In this video, we'll walk through what actually happens when you begin to stand in your strength. You'll learn how to stay grounded in your truth, how to stop defending yourself to those who refuse to understand, and how to trust your own growth. If you've noticed things feel different after you start standing up for yourself, there's a reason for that. The narcissist's first move is often to rewrite the past. Suddenly the facts don't matter, only their version of events does. Your growth becomes a betrayal in their eyes, and they'll tell that story to anyone who will listen. You set a simple boundary, and overnight you're labeled as cruel or selfish. This isn't an accident. It's a deliberate strategy to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. This kind of deflection is common in toxic relationships. When a narcissist feels threatened by your strength, they shift the focus onto you. They'll paint themselves as the victim, making your reasonable actions seem like personal attacks. For example, if you say no to something that crosses your limits, they might claim that you're being unfair. The goal is to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel guilty for prioritizing your well-being. One of their most damaging tactics is recruiting others to their side. They'll spread their twisted version of events to mutual friends, family, or co-workers, painting you as the problem. This serves two purposes. It isolates you from your support system, and it makes you question your reality. You might hear things like, "Everyone thinks you're overreacting," even if that's not true. They weaponize social dynamics to keep you trapped in their narrative. This creates a no-win situation. If you defend yourself, you look defensive or dramatic. If you stay silent, their version goes unchallenged. They know most people will gravitate toward the louder, more dramatic story, even if it's false. That's why they pour so much energy into controlling the narrative. The more people believe their lies, the harder it is for you to break free. Their false stories often focus on your growth as the problem. They'll claim you're not the person you used to be simply because you stopped tolerating disrespect. They might say you've become cold when all you've done is start valuing yourself. This twisting of reality is meant to make you feel guilty for evolving. They want you to believe that your strength is a flaw, not a sign of progress. Another common tactic is to deny things they've said or done in the past. They'll swear that you're remembering things wrong. Over time, this gaslighting makes you second-guess your own memories. You start wondering if you really did misinterpret things, even when you know what happened. They rely on this confusion to keep you off balance. The worst part is how convincing they can be. They'll use emotional language, dramatic sighs, or even fake tears to sell their story. They know how to play the victim so well that even people who care about you might start doubting your side. This is why so many people feel alone when dealing with a narcissist. It's not just the manipulation, it's the way they turn others against you. But here's the truth. Their need to rewrite history reveals their fear. They wouldn't work so hard to distort reality if they weren't terrified of being exposed. The more they twist the story, the more they prove how fragile their control really is. They rely on your silence, your self-doubt, and your willingness to appease them. When you stop playing along, the house of cards starts to crumble. Their false narratives also serve as a distraction. If you're busy defending yourself against their accusations, you're not focusing on their behavior. They'd rather have you explaining why you're not the villain than holding them accountable. That's why they escalate when you start standing firm. The louder they yell, the more they're trying to drown out the truth. Recognizing these tactics is the first step to breaking free. You don't have to engage with their rewritten history. You don't have to prove your innocence or convince others of your worth. The people who matter will see through the drama. The rest aren't worth your energy. Their stories say more about them than they do about you. The effort they put into distorting the truth shows how much they need to control how others see them. But here's the thing. You don't have to live inside their narrative. Your truth doesn't require their approval. And the moment you stop trying to correct their lies is the moment you take back your power. This isn't about winning an argument or changing their mind. It's about refusing to let their version of events define you. The more you stand in your truth, the weaker their illusions become. They can twist the past all they want, but they can't change the fact that you're stronger than their manipulation. The hardest part about dealing with a narcissist isn't standing up to them. It's stopping yourself from reacting at all. They feed off your responses, whether positive or negative. Even anger gives them what they want, proof they can still control your emotions. That's why the only way to win is to stop playing their game entirely. When you refuse to engage, you take away their power. You might have noticed how they escalate when you try to ignore them. They'll send a pointed text or make a passive-aggressive comment just to get a reaction. This isn't random, it's deliberate. They need that emotional fuel to feel important. Studies show the grey rocking technique works because it starves them of what they crave. This means giving short, uninteresting responses, avoiding personal details, and staying emotionally neutral. You become as engaging as a grey rock, boring, unresponsive, and ultimately not worth their effort. At first, this feels impossible. They'll test your limits, trying harder to provoke you when they don't get the reaction they want. You might worry that staying silent means you're letting them win, but silence isn't surrender, it's reclaiming your energy. Every time you don't react, you take back a little more of yourself. Their anger when you set boundaries proves how much they relied on you not having any. You don't owe them explanations. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, no amount of reasoning will change their mind. Narcissists twist words to fit their narrative, so trying to explain yourself just gives them more material to manipulate. Boundaries aren't up for debate, even when they frame them as personal attacks. Saying no isn't cruel, it's self-respect. Their outrage at your limits reveals how much they benefited from you having none. This process isn't easy. There will be moments when you want to defend yourself or correct their lies, but engaging keeps you stuck in their cycle. The more you react, the more they'll push. Grey rocking disrupts that pattern. It's not about being cold or rude, it's about protecting yourself. Brief, neutral responses like "I see" or "okay" give them nothing to work with. Over time, they'll lose interest because you're no longer a source of drama. Their attempts to pull you back in will intensify before they stop. They might accuse you of being distant or uncaring. They'll try guilt, anger, or even fake concern to get you to break your silence. This is when staying consistent matters most. Each time you don't take the bait, their hold weakens. Their frustration shows they're losing control, not that you're doing something wrong. You might worry about what others think. Narcissists often recruit people to their side, painting you as the problem. But the right people will see through the act. Those who truly care about you won't need convincing. The rest aren't worth your energy. Trying to prove your worth to someone determined to misunderstand you is exhausting and pointless. Your silence speaks louder than their drama. It shows you're no longer willing to participate in their games. Every time you choose not to react, you reinforce your own worth. Their need for attention and control says everything about them and nothing about you. You're not responsible for their feelings or their version of events. Disengaging isn't about them, it's about you. It's choosing peace over chaos, your well-being over their demands. The less you engage, the more you'll realize how much energy they were draining from you. That energy is yours to reclaim. This isn't a quick fix. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt, but with time, their attempts to provoke you will feel more desperate than powerful. You'll start seeing their behavior for what it is, a sign of their insecurity, not your weakness. The moment you stop playing by their rules is the moment you win, not because you've defeated them, but because you've freed yourself. Your peace is worth more than their drama, and that's something they can never take from you. The healing process begins the moment you stop measuring your worth by their reactions. That pain they caused isn't something to outrun, it's something to work through. Survivors often describe feeling stuck in this strange middle ground where they know they're growing, but the hurt still feels fresh. You might find yourself thinking, I shouldn't still be affected by this, forgetting that emotional wounds don't heal on a schedule. The progress is there, even when it's hard to see. Keeping a journal helps here. Looking back at old entries shows you how your thinking has changed, how you no longer beg for their approval or question your reality the way you once did. These small shifts matter more than you realize. Resilience isn't about pretending the pain doesn't exist or forcing yourself to get over it. True strength comes from learning how to let the pain transform you instead of destroy you. Every time you choose to honor your feelings instead of suppressing them, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Maybe today that means allowing yourself to be angry without guilt. Maybe it's acknowledging how much they took from you without letting that define your future. This is how survivors rebuild, not by avoiding the hurt, but by moving through it at their own pace. Each small step forward chips away at their control. Setting a boundary they don't like, pursuing something that excites you, or simply refusing to engage in their drama, these acts might feel insignificant, but they're rebellions against the narrative they tried to force on you. Narcissists rely on you staying exactly where they left you, so when you grow in ways they can't control, you disrupt their entire game. Their anger or confusion at your progress isn't a sign you're doing something wrong, it's proof you're doing something right. Sharing your story dismantles the isolation they worked so hard to create. Narcissists often twist reality to make you feel like no one would believe you or care. But when you start speaking your truth, even if it's just to one trusted person, you break that illusion. You realize their power depended on your silence. Some survivors find that as they share their experiences, others begin recognizing the same patterns in their own lives. Your clarity helps them see what they couldn't name before. This doesn't mean you owe your story to everyone, but sharing when you're ready reminds you that you're not alone. Your strength wasn't given to you by them, and they can't take it away. This is something survivors often struggle with, that lingering doubt about whether they're truly capable on their own. But the truth is, they were never the source of your power. They just convinced you they were. The qualities that helped you survive, your patience, your intuition, your resilience, were always yours. They might have made you forget that for a while, but they couldn't erase it. Healing isn't linear. There will be days when the past feels heavy again, and that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Recovery from this kind of manipulation isn't about reaching some perfect finish line where nothing hurts anymore. It's about building a life where their opinion no longer holds weight, where you can hold both the pain and the progress at the same time without one cancelling out the other. The person you become after this isn't the same person who walked into that relationship, and that's okay. Growth changes you. The lessons you've learned about boundaries, self-worth, and spotting manipulation, these aren't small things. They're tools that will protect you moving forward. The work you're doing now doesn't just heal old wounds, it prevents new ones. One day, you'll notice their voice in your head has gotten quieter. Their attempts to provoke you won't land the way they used to. You might even feel indifferent when you think about them. Not bitter, just disconnected. That's when you'll know their hold on you is gone. Not because you fought them, but because you focused on yourself instead. This journey isn't about them anymore. It's about who you're becoming. Someone who knows their worth doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. That's real power, and no one can rewrite that history. Their panic at your growth tells you everything. It was never about you being inadequate, but about you becoming too strong to control. Every attempt to rewrite history proves they fear the truth more than you ever did. The person they tried to mold doesn't exist anymore, and that's why they scramble. Your healing isn't about changing their mind. It's about reclaiming your right to move forward without their permission. Share your story when you're ready, not because you owe anyone explanations, but because speaking your truth dissolves their power. You're the closure. Their version was always fiction. Your freedom is the reality. If you found clarity or strength in what we shared today, please like this video. It helps more people find these conversations when they need them most. And if you're ready to keep walking this path at your own pace, in your own power, hit subscribe. We talk about healing, boundaries, and stepping fully into the life you deserve every single week. Thank you for being here. Keep choosing you. Keep choosing peace. And remember, your growth isn't the problem, it's the proof.